We're joined by head coach James Franklin, looking ahead to the Northwestern game on Saturday. Coach, a couple things from last weekend's game that stood out on film. What did you like when you watched the film on Sunday?
Well, explosive. We're starting to become an explosive offense. I think we're second in the country of plays of 30 yards or more. So that's been fun to see. And then just getting so many different guys involved, tight ends, receivers, offensive line is battling and fighting. And then Christian, you look at the last, 6 games he's played really well. I think 12 touchdown passes, 0 interceptions. And our defense just keeps finding ways to make plays, harass quarterbacks, and get turnovers.
When you look at the defense, Austin Johnson's a guy that probably isn't getting enough credit for how well he's playing. What's been good about his game, and how are those guys complementing one another up front?
Yeah, I think if you compare his numbers for defensive tackles to other guys that have made All-American awards over the years and things like that, his numbers stack up really well. He's doing a great job. Starts up front, our D-line, whether it's Carl Nassib or Zettel or AJ, Sickles, and even the other guys that are rotated in are playing at a really high level. And when you do that, it's not a whole lot of fun. I heard Coach Fitz listen to his press conference and talk about our defensive line. And that's not something you necessarily want to see when you're watching tape on an opponent, a dominant offensive line or a dominant defensive line.
You touched on it on Saturday. It starts up front, but how about the secondary? How have they gotten better from week to week?
I think they're playing with confidence. You think about Trevor's played a lot of football here, obviously. And then the combination of John Reed and the combination of Grant Haley. Grant's played a lot of football. I know it's funny to say it's only his second year on campus, but he's played a lot of football for us now. And John Reed's playing with a lot of confidence. So, we'd like to get Christian back here at some point. And then in our safeties, you think about the number of guys we're playing. Jordan Lucas has adjusted well. Marcus Allen's playing well. Troy Apke is coming in and doing some things. And then probably one of the most improved players on our team is Malik Golden, I think, is doing some great things. So the combination of all those guys being able to have a factor in the game has been really important.
Calendar's in November now. When you think about the senior class in terms of how they've carried this team to this point, what can you say about that group?
It's not a big group in numbers, but it is a big group in terms of impact in our locker room, on the field, on game days. Guys that are starting and even guys that aren't starting. They've had a tremendous influence on our team and an impact on our team in a positive way. They've been through a lot and stuck together and stuck by Penn State, so we owe them a lot of gratitude.
Looking at Northwestern, what do you see from Clayton Thorson, their quarterback?
Mobile. He's a big mobile quarterback. Redshirt freshman is doing some nice things. I think the area he really jumps out is making plays with his legs. Not necessarily in design quarterback runs, more scrambles off of passes, and has been really effective there.
Pat Fitzgerald defense, what do you see out of that group that hasn't really given up many big plays at all in the passing game?
That's kind of who they've been. Their defensive coordinator and their players. They'll give up a few plays here or there, but they're a bend but don't break defense. Very consistent. I think they're very well coached. I think they're sound in everything they do. They're very, very rarely out of position or out of gap, and they make you earn it, which is kind of our mentality with our defense as well.
What type of game are you expecting on Saturday?
Well, obviously going on the road to the Big Ten is never easy. Obviously you're talking about a team that, started out the year really, well in terms of having a win over Stanford and a win over Duke out of conference, and have played some great football in our conference as the season has gone on as well. So it's going to be a tremendous challenge. We're going to have to find a way to make some plays on special teams. It's an area I think, we can improve on. Koa had a big return the other day, but we need more of that. And then we got to continue kind of what has been our secret to success, which is turnover ratio, which has been really good. We're one of the best in the conference and one of the country. And penalties, we're one of the more disciplined teams in the country. We're playing another team like that this week.
Finally, I want to ask you quick about Nick Scott and a couple other guys on special teams. When you see the buy-in that they have to being good at special teams, you see them racing into the end zone every single time there's a kickoff. How does that set an example for everybody on all types of special teams units?
Well, I want our guys to have fun. I want them to play with passion and pride in what they do. I think Nick's a really good example of that. He's doing some great things. I think Dudas is doing a great job. Koa Farmer's really doing some great things, not just as a kickoff return guy, but as a cover guy as well. I love the fact that Tyler's number gets called on Saturday and he comes in and does it like he's been doing it all year long. So I'm really proud of all those guys. We want to continue to make sure we can make an impact whenever we can in any role that's given.
Coach, thanks for your time. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.